Do your hair a favor by checking in online and arriving just in time for your Sport Clips MVP haircut experience while you surround yourself with sports on TV, fresh cut, massaging shampoo, and hot steam towel. Claim your spot today. SportClips.com/check-in.
Glad you're with us on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We got Stugotz from the Dan Le Batard Show coming up in just a little bit.
Yes,
Adam
we do.
Schefter will be here later this hour. And Mel Kiper Jr. will join us in studio at 9:30 to talk about something we can talk about right now, Mike.
And I know in a few minutes we're going to call Stugotz out on something, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Hard.
That's going to be...
So he best prepare for that.
We need to put that to rest right away.
We saw how Jalen kind of went at Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
As far as called him petty about the whole, retirement of the jersey thing and the video of Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
We're going to go after Stugotz harder than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he best be prepared.
I'm sure he's prepared, but that's just going to happen.
All right.
Okay. So Mel Kiper Jr. will be here 9:30 to talk about this, but we can talk about it now. His first ever mock draft 1.0 is out for the draft.
First ever this year, not his first ever. Yeah.
This is not his first attempt. Thank you for clearing that up.
It's not his first rodeo.
Not my first time. The first of many between now and the draft, which will be in Dallas, and we'll be down there for that, which is going to be great. We'll have the bus rolling out there.
We're going to broadcast from the bus on that.
Broadcast from the bus.
But all of you come to that. Let me just say, you are going to love us.
You'll be in for a treat.
We're going to do for you.
You will be in for a treat.
Yes,
so
you will.
The draft is always a lot of fun, and it looks like if this first mock draft is in any way, shape, or form what may happen, it could be a lot of fun for the Cleveland Browns because he has, and I find this interesting because we've talked a lot about this is going to be a quarterback-centric first round. There is the potential for maybe 5 quarterbacks going in the first round. He has 4 going in the first round. And Cleveland, he has taking a quarterback first off the board. And I'm not sure it's the quarterback that a lot of people thought would be the first one off the board. It is Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Quarterback out of Wyoming. Not Josh Rosen, not Sam Darnold. Your thoughts right away when you saw his first mock having Josh Allen out of Wyoming.
Well, listen, Josh Allen, all the quarterbacks that we talked about this year as, wow, what a quarterback draft this is going to be. We all kind of took a step back a little bit as the season went on. Josh Allen, at Wyoming, they played Iowa, a couple of Power 5 schools,
right?
And he didn't look well.
No,
it didn't go. Now
he didn't have a great season.
Now he lost a ton of his weapons from the year before, no doubt about that. But he definitely struggled some. They all did. Rosen struggled some. Darnold struggled as well. So all of a sudden we come to the end of the year and it's like, well, those guys didn't do all we thought. This dude, though, if you want to draw up a quarterback
from Central Casting,
holy smokes, 6'5", what about 240 or so? I mean,
235.
He is ridiculously good-looking quarterback.
By the way, his hometown, I love Firebaugh, California.
Yeah, very cool.
The flamethrower from Firebaugh. I can see the headlines already. But the issue is, Are you drafting him? And again, people need to understand stats don't matter. Highlights don't matter when you're looking at drafting. What you're looking at is, do you believe his skill set is translatable to being exceptional at the next level?
See, and I think that's what everybody's saying. Even though these guys struggled, we look at their skill set and say that we think they can succeed at the next level. Whatever they're off in right now, accuracy, ability to read, going through your progressions, what movement in the pocket, what will they be able to do at the next level? That's what you're doing. You're exactly right. So you kind of throw out a lot of the stats. The one stat that I don't really throw out, though, is if you are inaccurate. Yeah. Now, you can't just say 56% incompletion. You don't know of drops and all those kind of situations, and where throws go as well. So there are things that you have to look at. But those that have trouble with completion percentage, that is a red flag to me.
Yes.
And he did. But again, I'll go through even more tape on the guy. Again, not one of the Power 5s. You don't see him awful lot.
Correct.
But there's plenty of video available on him. But that was a little bit of surprise to me because he didn't have that year that a lot of people thought he was going to have. And again, in a non-Power 5 team like Wyoming.
Well, that's the case. I mean, his last 2 years as a starter, essentially, he was never above 56% complete. In 2016, he was 56% complete, had 28 touchdowns, along with 15 interceptions. This year in 2017, once again, 56% complete, but only 16 touchdowns against 6 picks. But it's the frame. It's the body that you see and some of the things that you like, his throwing motion. Again, he did lose a lot of people. And again, we should point out Mel's mock draft is who he thinks the Browns will take. It's not who he believes is the top prospect. For example, he has Josh Allen as the fourth best prospect in the draft. He has Saquon Barkley as number 1. And that's where it gets interesting for the Browns.
Yes, it does.
Because they have 1 and 4, and in Mel's mock, he has the Browns taking Josh Allen 1, and then Saquon Barkley, the running back out of Penn State, going at 4.
If the Browns can pull that one off, that's a win. Because and then it will just be, did they pick the right quarterback? There's not a lot of people have many questions about Saquon Barkley coming in and running the way he runs, the style he runs, his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield as well. But it's going to be for a choice of, and we'll get to them, but Mel has 4 quarterbacks going in the first round, 3 going in the top 5. So the question's going to be, are the Browns going to take the right one? Yeah. And, of course, most people are going to answer no, they'll find a way to screw it up. Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. But that's what it's going to come down to. Are they going to take the right quarterback? Because then if they get that and Saquon, that's going a step in the right direction. But it's interesting. It's another quarterback if he goes number 1. Carson Wentz, now I know he went number 2.
Number 2.
That was a running team as well. You look at Wyoming, they ran the ball more than they threw it.
Yep.
You know, Wentz's team was a running team as well. So that's interesting, and then making that transition to the pro. I'm not going to lie, the completion percentage and the way he throws it at times does worry me a bit.
It should.
I remember Eli Manning came in to the league with a bad completion percentage, and I think it took him a couple of years before he even got over 60% completion percentage. And we know he's gone on, obviously, to 2 Super Bowls. They have the career that he's had, but that was a red flag for a guy like DeShone Kizer coming out of Notre Dame, was his accuracy. And you know what? It showed up. Yeah. It definitely showed up to the point where the Browns are going to go for another quarterback in this draft. So that's all these quarterbacks. There's Josh Allen, number 1 to Cleveland, number 2, the Giants. Josh Rosen, the quarterback from UCLA, going to the Giants. Number 3 to the Colts, Bradley Chubb, the pass rusher from North Carolina State. Yep. Number 4 to Cleveland from Houston, Saquon Barkley, the running back from Penn State. And number 5 comes in the third quarterback, the Denver Broncos, who, if they go this route, will basically say the Paxton Lynch was a failed thing, which I thought from the beginning anyway. Mel has them taking Sam Darnold, the quarterback from USC.
And again, Mel will be with us in 9:30 to go through this entire list. But just real quickly, Cleveland wants to get it right because the last time they took a quarterback and a running back in the first round was 2012. Brandon Weeden was the quarterback and Trent Richardson was the running back. And that's the way that ends. All right, we'll get to that. Let's bring in Stugotz now from the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. I'm sure this is going to make him thrilled. Stu, in this latest mock 1.0 from Mel, he has your Jets taking Minkah Fitzpatrick, the defensive back from Alabama. And don't bring up D. Milliner. We know how bad that worked out the last time they went this way. But I think Minkah, is going to be a good player. Are you okay with them going Minkah Fitzpatrick if that's the way it holds out?
Nope, they don't have a quarterback, Trey. Take a quarterback every single year. It's the most important position in sports. Take a quarterback every single year until you get it right, and the Jets haven't gotten it right in a long time. Nope, I do not want a defensive back. I also noticed the Dolphins taking on Mel's mock draft, taking an offensive tackle. They've been doing that for 10 years down here, and they still have the worst offensive line in the NFL. So as far as the Jets are concerned, no. Take a quarterback and take one every year because you currently don't have a quarterback, a starting NFL quarterback on your roster. You don't have one. You have no one to build around moving forward. So, no, I will quit being a Jet fan if they don't take a quarterback this year.
Well, I don't believe that for 1 second, just so you know. You can say that as many times as you want. Yeah. I don't believe it for a second.
Trey, I've been saying it every Sunday for the last 30 years.
There
it
is.
So you're right.
That's proving my point.
Quickly, you mentioned Miami. Miami picks 11, and Mel has them taking Mike McGlinchey, the offensive tackle from Notre Dame. And again, your Jets, Minkah Fitzpatrick to go along with Jamal Adams, who I definitely a hit for the Jets last year at safety. Yep. So they're really looking to solidify that secondary if that's the way they go. Again, this doesn't involve trades or anything, so we don't know direction the Jets will go. This is the first mock draft. All right. So we're just going to.
We know the direction the Jets will go. It's the wrong direction. That's the direction the Jets will go, in the wrong direction.
Jets fans think that, and Browns fans think we have the choice of all these quarterbacks, and there is no doubt we'll take the wrong one, right?
Yes. Well, Mike Ryan, our executive producer, is a Browns fan. He's not excited about having the first and the fourth pick. He knows they're going to screw it up. He just knows it.
Well,
he does.
Their history of taking more than one first-round pick has really been horrid since 2007.
Yeah, it has.
They've really hit on one, Joe Thomas.
Yep.
And we think we got one of Miles Garrett.
Yeah, I think so.
There's just not enough out there yet, and we're not sure about Jabril Peppers or David Njoku, the 3 number 1 picks they had in last year's draft. Stu, we just called you out that say you're not going to be a Jets fan. We don't believe that. We also don't believe something else you said this week, that you said you're not watching the NFC Championship game. That's right. That's horrible. You know you're watching that game.
Well, listen, the reason I'm watching, even in South Florida, Trey, at around 6:30, it gets dark down here and I can't play golf. So yes, I'll be forced to sit inside and I'll be forced to watch, Case Keenum and Nick Foles. Listen, I'm going to watch the game. I'm not excited about watching the game. I'm also not excited about having one of these two teams make it to the Super Bowl. Trey, I'm very much like you. I think this is Championship Sunday, the most exciting day on the NFL calendar. But for me, it's like I'll use the NCAA college basketball tournament. I want George Mason to make it to the Elite Eight and then stop. I don't want them ruining my Final Four. I want big brands in championship games, and the brands of the NFL are the quarterbacks. Those are the guys we talk about every single week. Those are the guys we scrutinize. Those are the guys we praise. Those are the guys who get all the glory when they win. They get most of the blame when a team loses. I do not want to see, I know Case Keenum's been good just about the entire season. Nick Foles has been okay since Carson Wentz went down. I don't want to see that in a championship game. I just don't, and I certainly don't want one of those two guys making it to the Super Bowl, presumably against Tom Brady. I want to see Cam Newton versus Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers versus Drew Brees. I'm okay with the Cinderella, with George Mason making it up to the Elite Eight, then stop. Do not wreck my Final Four. And I'll sit in and I'll watch the game, guys. I'm not excited about the game.
No, you will be. The other thing is,
I said I'm going to watch it. I just won't be excited.
No, I think you will be excited. By the way,
I won't be.
We have picked the worst possible picture of you and put it up on our Twitter feed. By the way, I don't know why. Allie did you no favors. You look like a stark raving lunatic in this picture that she's put up of you. You are fired up about something. Your hands in the air. There's spit coming out of your mouth. It's really impressive. Now, I get what you're saying, but I think people are looking at Case Keenum through the wrong lens this year. Yes, he has done nothing up to this year, but Case Keenum, to your point, has basically had Drew Brees' season in 2017. Drew Brees, 23 touchdown passes in 16 starts, 8 interceptions. Case Keenum in 14 starts, 22 touchdown passes, only 7 interceptions. He's basically played at that level. I think people need to stop looking at what he was and look at what he's been this year.
Right, but I think, Trey, people wonder if it's real. If the Case Keenum we're seeing this year is real.
Did he not just throw a 61-yard touchdown pass with no time left?
Yes, he did, and I'm guessing that's something that Drew Brees has never ever done. But
no one's ever done it before. No one's ever done that before.
But Trey, this was a bad season for Drew Brees, and Drew Brees has had great seasons for the last 12 years. We know Drew Brees.
Why was it a bad season for Drew Brees?
Greats.
Why was it a bad season?
I think if you look at his numbers compared to years past,
no, he found a way. I would look. His numbers might have been better, but I thought this was a great season.
But the team's better.
The team is better. They found more balance on offense. He didn't have a bad season. They just found more facets in their offense.
I'm just saying, and you're right, and it's a great point. What I'm saying is Drew Brees is an established quarterback. He's one of the all-time greats. He's a Hall of Famer.
No question. First ballot. No question.
We don't know if what Case Keenum is doing this year, we don't know if it's just a year or if Case Keenum can sustain this for a decade. I don't know if he can. I have no idea if Case Keenum is any good at playing the position of quarterback. And gun to my head, I would probably tell you, based on the resume, that he's probably pretty average, pretty mediocre. That's what he is. He's a mediocre quarterback.
Except this season.
I think what we're finding out, Stu, is this is just like the slam dunk contest. Is you could have LeBron do a slam and another guy do a slam. They look exactly the same, and you're going to be way more impressed with LeBron doing it. So just like Drew Brees. It's the name. And quite honestly, isn't that a little unfair? Because it's one person out of how many on the field. I mean, that New Orleans Saints game certainly didn't start out well, being down 17-0, but then the comeback that they had and the way it ended, I mean, you could get an exciting game like that in Philadelphia. I mean, it just seems odd to say, I'm going to watch it, but I won't be excited. How do you know? I mean, it could be a great game. I mean, there are other people on the field that may make it a great game.
Listen, it might be a great game, Mike. You're right, but we always hype these games up based on who the quarterbacks are. We're never talking about Stephon Diggs versus Alshon Jeffrey. That's not what we do. It's quarterback versus quarterback, and
we're trying to change the narrative.
I mean,
we are trying to change the narrative.
Yeah, I know, but these guys were two backups on the Rams. Like, I don't know. I just can't get myself to a place where I'm excited. I will watch the game, and maybe you're right. Somewhere along the way, if the game's exciting, I'll find myself into the game. Listen, it is unfair. I'm telling you on the front end, this is unfair. Yeah. I just don't want one of these two guys in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady.
Well, or Blake Bortles.
That would be even worse, Trey. That would be even worse.
It might make us all look beyond that one position. It might make us all look beyond that one position.
It's amazing, though. We're asking Blake Bortles to lead his team or help lead his team to a win in Foxborough. Do you know the only two quarterbacks that have won in Foxborough in the postseason? How about these heavy hitters? Mark Sanchez and Joe Flacco. So, I mean, it's not like these monster name quarterbacks. I know Flacco had obviously a couple big years, but these monster quarterbacks are going into Foxborough and winning.
No, and Joe Flacco probably should have done it twice, right? Lee Evans dropped the ball there.
Yes,
probably
exactly.
should have done it twice. Yes, exactly. Listen, it's a fair point. I'm telling you right now, if we have a Blake Bortles, Nick Foles Super Bowl, I'm not watching. I'm just telling you guys that right
now. No, stop it. You know that's not true. You know that's not true. And it sounds great as the thought bubble is coming out of your mouth, but you know that's not going to be the case. You know it. All right.
Yeah, you're right. I know it's not. I know it not to be the case. Right. I need to see these pictures. I need to see pictures with thought bubbles coming out of my mouth.
Well, Allie will put one of those up as well. It'll be on our Twitter feed. Okay, what do you make of Mike Tomlin? People saying that Tomlin's job might be. By the way, it's never going to be in jeopardy. Let's be clear. That's not going to happen. But what do you make of people talking that way?
Listen, you're right. It's never going to be in jeopardy. He's going to be the Steelers coach for a very long time. That's just the way the Steelers operate. But it doesn't mean the people who are saying it are wrong, guys. I mean, listen, he is 3-6 in his last 9 playoff games. And if you saw me looking down there, I actually wrote down notes for this segment, okay? He is 3-6 last 9 playoff games. No Super Bowl since 2010. And I know you guys were comparing him. And listen, every team, with the exception of maybe a handful, would line up to sign. They would fire their head coach tomorrow and line up to sign Mike Tomlin to be their head coach. But it doesn't mean Steeler fans are wrong. Steeler fans have high expectations for their team, especially when their team is this talented, with Le'Veon Bell, with Roethlisberger, with Antonio Brown. And I know he can't get past Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, but that's part of the problem. He can't get past Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. The other part is he can't get past the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. So listen, it doesn't mean they're wrong. The Steelers aren't going to do it, but it also doesn't mean that the people that are saying it are wrong. And I will say this, and Mike, I'd be interested in your opinion on this. When Todd Haley, who called 2 of the worst 4th and short calls that I've ever seen in my entire life against the best defense in the NFL this year, or one of the best defenses in the NFL this year, does Mike Tomlin know the play call? Because those 2 calls were horrific. They cost him the game. Does Mike Tomlin know what's being called there? And can Mike Tomlin stop it if he wants to?
Well, I listen, you're the head coach. You can do whatever you want. Now, you also have to understand that they haven't called a quarterback sneak since 2014. So it's not like...
But that's in Haley's.
I know. I get it. I get what you're saying.
But Roethlisberger's 18 of 19, 4th and short. The last 19 times he's done it, he's converted 18 times.
I think it's ridiculous that they don't run a quarterback sneak. But do you think Haley should be gone over? Do you think Haley is gone because of what's gone on the field or personality clash?
Probably personality, because the offense has been very good. But because that offense is so talented, because they have Roethlisberger, a Hall of Fame quarterback, because they have Antonio Brown, who many people will say is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now, and Le'Veon Bell, the best running back in the NFL right now, and we all say, let's just say Roethlisberger's a top 5 guy still in the NFL. You have 5-1-1 at those 3 positions. You should probably get to a Super Bowl once every couple of years. That's just my opinion.
You're right, except with the one caveat that for them to get there, they have to beat the gold standard, who has been in 7 straight AFC championship games. Look, you are right. There were procedural issues in that game that anybody watching had real issues with in terms of managing the game. Why go for the onside kick when you have 2 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning? Why, after going for the onside kick, why did you wait until the 2-minute warning 12 seconds ran off where you used one of those timeouts where you could have used that 12 seconds because you needed 2 scores, and the way they mismanaged those final 45 seconds when they needed 2 scores, they should have kicked the field goal, then tried the onside kick to get it back. All those things are true, and those are legitimate concerns, but I don't think in the end it's going to make a hill of difference whether or not Tomlin's there or not.
No, it's not. But Trey, are the people who saying it, are they justified in saying it? When I tell you there's a coach who's 3-6 in his last 9 playoff games, hasn't made a Super Bowl in 8 years with that talent, I don't think they're wrong for saying it. They're certainly, first off, they're entitled to their opinion, and I'm not certain it's the wrong opinion.
Well, again, the list of coaches that have won more playoff games over the last 3 years than Mike Tomlin is Bill Belichick, and that's the end of the list. I mean, it's that's the elephant in the room. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, Tomlin, listen, feel free to leave the Steelers because you don't like all the talk swirling around you and become the head coach of the New York Jets.
Yeah, he will be hired in a nanosecond if whatever he gets. Stu, always great to chat with you, and make sure you check out that picture that Allie put of you.
It's a good one.
You look like
you're fired up.
You look like a preacher if a preacher wore a T-shirt. Stu, we appreciate it. Well, listen.
Stu.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you for getting me fired up. I love when thought bubbles come out of my mouth.
Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Golick Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Hey guys, is it time to get your hair in the game?
Time to claim your spot!
Then it's time to check in online at sportclips.com/check-in for a fresh cut, legendary hot steam towel and massaging shampoo.
Time to claim your spot!
So do your hair a favor by checking in online and arrive just in time for your Sport Clips MVP haircut experience while you surround yourself with sports on TV. Get in line online at sportclips.com/check-in.
Time to claim your spot!
Golden Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And then there's DJ Shefty Chef, our NFL insider, Adam Schefter, in studio giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. First off, Straight Talk, you need to explain to people just how much of an NBA junkie you are. I mean, you really are, right?
Well,
as he's breaking news right now on his...
No. As the last few years I've gotten into it.
Fantasy is a big part of it for you.
I love playing daily fantasy basketball. We have an ESPN Fantasy Basketball League here, and so I think I've made more moves than anybody in the league. I make a move almost every single day, watch games every single night, and started a few years ago. My wife walked in after the Super Bowl, and I was watching basketball, playing fantasy basketball, and she didn't think anything of it. She walked into the bedroom the second night. I'm watching more basketball. The third night, she walked in, and it finally hit her, and she goes, "What's this about?" Well, I thought you were football. Well, now basketball too, and it's kind of carried on, and it's kind of my escape, my break, my release, and I really got into it, and I could tell you basically any player on any team now.
The versatility of Adam Schefter.
I mean, we're in the war room watching the games in the divisional round, and he's going on about what Anthony Davis is doing with the Pelicans things. I mean, Adam, focus! It's a regular season game, and we're watching this great game between the Vikings and the Saints. And he's like, "Wow, Anthony Davis pulled down another 2 boards."
Put the Bucks Heat on the one TV in the corner over there,
so you can peek over at that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we got openings, 5 openings in the NFL. We have coaches that are in the works for this that are still coaching. Mm-hmm. Just for everybody's edification out there, how it all works of when these teams, do they have to wait all the way, if they want coaches that are going to the Super Bowl, they got to wait till after. So
right.
How does it all work of when the dominoes can start to fall for these teams?
Well, you're not allowed to hire a coach until after they're done. So we'll use Matt Patricia in the Detroit Lions, for example, right? So the Detroit Lions can interview him, like him. He could like them. They could say, I like you. I think I wouldn't mind joining you. I wouldn't mind joining you. You are not allowed to talk contract and agree to a contract. You're not allowed to publicly announce a hire. But I think both sides can know, okay, that the coach intends to join that staff and that staff intends to hire that coach, and you go on from there. So you've got a few situations here. Now, look, things could also change during the course of that time. But I think everybody expects that Matt Patricia will wind up in Detroit. Josh McDaniels winds up in Indianapolis, Pat Shurmur with the Giants, and then that leaves us with the Arizona Cardinals and the Tennessee Titans, who still have openings and are still conducting interviews. Mike Vrabel, the Texans defensive coordinator, is in Tennessee today to interview with the Titans. I believe he becomes the first candidate to interview for that job, and that's partly because they had weather delays and weather factors. So maybe somebody got in that I don't know about prior, but Vrabel will interview with the Titans today. The Cardinals, they're ready to get into their second round of interviews. And I think Mike Munchak would have been a prime candidate, but declined the chance to interview a second time with Arizona. So they'll move on to their other candidates as well right now.
Okay, so those are coaching situations where there are openings. there's going to be coaching changes in Pittsburgh. Todd Haley is on the way out, even though they were third best offense and put up 42 points in a playoff loss. So clearly there were some issues, some personality-driven issues, and that has been sort of the deal with Todd Haley. He can rub some people the wrong way, but he's very good at his job. What do you make of these people that are saying, wait a minute, we should be winning more with Mike Tomlin, and we have some concerns about him?
I think it's absurd. Yeah. I think that in this day and age, everything's going to come under scrutiny, and there's always going to be questions. And if you fall short, like the Pittsburgh Steelers fell short, people are going to say, hey, what about this guy? I mean, look, number one, you want to move on from Mike Tomlin? If Mike Tomlin were let go, how long after would he have a job in Arizona or Tennessee?
Yeah, 7 seconds.
And who in Pittsburgh would they hire that you would want that would be an upgrade over Mike Tomlin?
Bill Belichick.
Okay, well,
that's the list.
Well, you had him in the Giants. Now we got him in Pittsburgh. Yeah. Well, let's keep up making things that aren't going to happen here.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to happen. So it just, to me, it's laughable that a franchise that has been the most stable franchise in all of football, that doesn't change coaches, but rarely, all of a sudden is making a head coach. It's not happening.
So we talk about coaches that if they were available, how quickly they would get a job, and we all believe Tomlin's staying. How about Todd Haley? Is Todd Haley going to be snapped up as an O coordinator somewhere, or does he have a reputation of having a bit of a reputation, not so much X's and O's wise, even though you can question some of the calls, but friction at times?
You know, you could have a reputation like that, but the fact of the matter is there are I believe, a shortage of effective, experienced, proven play callers in this league. How many of them can do that job? And how many teams are looking for somebody like that? So Todd Haley is going to get some consideration in New York with the Jets. Now, I don't know that ultimately he gets that job. I think Jeremy Bates, their quarterback's coach, is probably the favorite, but Haley will be in the discussion. He will get consideration. What if Brian Flores gets the job in Arizona? Wouldn't it make sense for Todd Haley to be his offensive coordinator? And I'm just making this up. When Todd Haley's got experience in Arizona, and he would need somebody that would have experience in that area. I think that there'll be work for Todd Haley. He's just got too much on his resume for him not to get work, but there aren't that many openings right now.
And for those Flores is the linebacker coach with the New England Patriots right now, so they could potentially lose 3 of their. That's never happened before.
An NFL team has never lost 3 assistant coaches in the same offseason, if we're going to call it that.
Right.
2 head coaching jobs to other teams. We've seen teams lose 2. I remember when the 49ers lost Mike Shanahan to the Broncos and Pete Carroll at that point in time to the Jets.
Yep.
But in this particular time, we've never seen one team lose 3. And the Patriots could lose 3 assistants.
And the interesting thing there is the long list of Belichick disciples off that coaching tree. Outside of Bill O'Brien, there really hasn't been a lot of success for them at the NFL level. So that sort of made it interesting. But, hey, Matt Patricia's a rocket scientist, so I'm not putting anything past him when he goes and takes that job in Detroit, we believe. Adam, what do we make of the hand injury with Tom Brady? We seen him have a sore Achilles during the season, and, boy, when your Achilles is sore, you're close to being done pretty quickly, but that has sort of seemed to massage itself, and it's gotten better. But when there's an issue right. But there's an issue when you're on the injury report for jamming your right hand, which is your throwing hand. How much of a red flag do you think that is?
Well, let me say this. Let me go back a second to the Achilles, because it's interesting. Richard Sherman was on the injury report.
Yes, with a sore Achilles.
And then he blew it out in that Thursday night game at Arizona. Yeah. And Jimmy Smith, the Ravens cornerback, had been playing with Achilles soreness all year long. And then a couple of weeks after Richard Sherman tore his Achilles, when he basically been talking to Jimmy Smith about taking care of his Achilles, he tore his Achilles. And Tom Brady's been on the injury report this year with that Achilles injury. And you always have to wonder about that. He's had some shoulder issues. You wonder about that. Now he's got the banged up hand. Look, he has set every record here and done things that no other quarterback or player ever has. But he also is 40 years old.
Yep.
And the thing that happened in practice yesterday, him banging his hand, that could happen with a 20-year-old player as well as a 40-year-old player. But I do think it's another sign of all these things just mounting up. The older you get, the tougher it is to bounce back from some of these injuries. And the people that you talk to about this hand injury from practice yesterday, they say, quote unquote, it should be okay. They don't expect it to be an issue and will operate under that theory that it's not going to be a problem. And these things aren't a problem until they are. When you get into the game, you're like, well, whoa, it's impacting the way he's throwing the football. Again, is he going to play? Yeah. Is he going to be Tom Brady? Yeah. Is it going to affect him? I don't know yet. We don't know. We don't know.
As far as the quarterbacks overall, you have Brady, Blake Bortles, Case Keenum, Nick Foles. So 3 of those 4 are not really franchise quarterbacks. So all of a sudden there's this thought, it's laughable a bit to me because it's a one-year thing.
We shot it down.
Where people are starting to say, maybe you don't really need a franchise quarterback.
Allow me to blow holes in that theory right now.
We did that yesterday, so feel free.
Okay, and I didn't hear your segment, but I'll just say this to you. First of all, Nick Foles, by and large, didn't do a lot to get Philadelphia.
There because of Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz won the division. Yes. Nick Foles stepped in, and they won a game to clinch home field advantage.
Correct.
Here's Nick Foles, okay? Right. And the game last week could have went either way. Blake Bortles is there with an elite defense, with a coaching staff that's been great, that has had a lot of experience, with a strong running game. If you can assemble a defense and running game and coaching staff as good as Jacksonville's, and you have a quarterback that's a middling quarterback, then you also have a chance to get to the AFC or conference championship game. And Case Keenum, while you may not think of him as an elite level quarterback, the people who have watched him on film this year say he's played at an elite level. Yeah. He's been an MVP candidate. And he's played like a really good quarterback. So
thank you.
Here they are in the Final Four. We have Tom Brady. Who's Tom Brady? Case Keenum, who's played like a great quarterback and is going to get paid this offseason like a great quarterback. Nick Foles, who didn't really contribute much of anything, and I don't mean that in a disparaging way, to put Philadelphia into the position it's in today. And Blake Bortles, who's surrounded by a lot of great units.
Look, if you put Case Keenum's numbers up and didn't put his name or his face next to it, you would look at that quarterback and say,
I'll take him.
He had a hell of a year. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this. I think they're buying into what the perception of Case Keenum was before this season. 68% complete, 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in 14 starts. What team wouldn't sign up for that right now?
And by the way, if Case Keenum were on the open market, he would be paid as a top quarterback.
Well, he will be once the season is over. You know, all 3 of those guys are up. By the way, real quickly, what do you think they do there? I think they franchise tag Keenum, which keeps him in place. They try and work out something with Bridgewater, which gives them flexibility. I don't think Bradford's coming back.
I agree with what you said.
Yeah,
and you were not the first person to say that to me.
Yeah.
I've had other people suggest that to me, and I would think that would be the most logical way for this to go.
Wow. Me and Logic. That
How about that?
That's rare.
Yeah, it's rare. That's like me doing NBA daily fantasy. Very rare. See you on NFL Live today?
I look forward to that. You're doing the show?
Doing the show today.
Great. Me, you, Teddy.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
Who else?
Golick.
No, I'll be home.
No, you're going to do it.
And probably not watching.
You're going to walk the dogs instead?
Yeah.
I don't like you at all. All right, Schefter, thanks very much.
Guys.
Help me with my fantasy team. Winning at sports and at sports broadcasting means changing things up.
Just like La Quinta Inns and Suites is changing up their look.
A renovated lobby that's so contemporary it even makes Golick look cool.
Yes, it does. And a totally updated fitness center that even has Wingo feeling like a workout.
I'm ripped. Plus plenty of comfortable spaces to hang out.
Yep, this La Quinta look definitely has a vibe of victory.
So you can just relax, refresh, and get ready for your next big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Golick and Wingo here with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. By the way, we threw this out on the tease. Gene Steratore of the Fightin' Sterators, which was the name of my fantasy team one year in our ESPN NFL War Room League when we're using the fake officials, and I was being simpatico and showing strength for NFL referees. He is going to be the head referee for the Super Bowl. Congratulations to him. It's his first in 15 years of being an NFL ref. No truth to the rumor that he's bringing a Super Bowl index card.
Do not. He was a referee in the Cowboys-Raider game that he looked at it, eyed the whether it was a first down when the sticks came out. He brought out an index card, and for some reason it was folded the index card. I have no idea why. Put it in between the sticks and the ball and signaled first down, said he didn't really need it. It was just to confirm what his eyes already told him. Okay. Well, here's your referee for the Super Bowl, though. Congrats to him, though. It's got to be an honor.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, it is, you can say whatever you want about the teams that might be in it. It is the biggest stage, and it'll probably be the most watched thing the entire year.
Yep, it's exactly
on television.
Right. No doubt about that.
So that's going to be something that'll dominate the conversation going forward. Something that has been dominating the conversation with us today is this proposal, the idea that there may be a change. Matt Schick, who works for us and has called bowl games with your son on radio, that he's an official saying to him it's 95% certain that they're going to allow kids to transfer in college, basketball, football, whatever, without the penalty of sitting out a year to play at the same level. And there are some things that need to be straightened out
Sure.
if that's going to happen. So let's try and figure that out. What parameters would you want to put on the idea of a kid transfer
Well, I
with
think,
no penalty?
I think one of the first things you have to do is figure out the time frame of
Yes.
when you're going to allow that. Is it a 1 month period, a 1 week period, a 2 week period? I'll just take football. Football just started the early signing period where there's a bunch of teams who got anywhere from 15 to 20 commits already, and you still have the regular signing period, which I believe is the first Wednesday in February. So when and you have the signing, you have to declare for the draft by January 15th. So you have some dates in there. So where do you work with those? Where does it have to be somewhere in between that signing date, the early signing date and the regular signing date? But that's one of the first things you have to figure out is either way, it's going to be, it's going to cause a stir. You have to find out the best time. And I don't know what that will be for basketball with how their recruiting works. But that's one of the main things you have to figure out. Okay, if we're going to allow this, what time frame and when are we going to allow it?
Yeah,
What's
so
the window?
you and I agree. We both want a specific window.
Yes, has to
for
be a window.
each sport where this could happen. Secondly, would be we both think there should be some sort of academic requirement.
There's an academic requirement to play, to get into college. Division I and play, and then to maintain your eligibility, there is an academic requirement. We're starting to see, obviously, in college basketball about teams' GPAs and where and as far as the NCAA tournament stuff. So I have zero problem with that. Put a requirement, whether it's the same requirement to be eligible. I don't know, whatever that may be, but absolutely put an academic requirement on your ability to transfer as well. Yes.
So we put those two things on there. And then the rule is you can do this once. And
one time.
And that's the thing. I mean, you can do it as a graduate, and like Jake did it again.
That doesn't change. So basically you could change schools. You can go to a school, you can get a freebie to another school, and then when you graduate from that school, if you have another year of eligibility, you can go to a different school. So in essence, 3 schools in those 5 years. And I mean, where do you go from? I mean, there's plenty of places to go from there. How about, can you transfer? Do the coaches lose all blocking?
Can they still block certain people?
Right.
That's something that have to be worked out.
Right.
And we've heard the coaches will say, well, that's going to be poaching and negative recruiting. That's happening anyway.
Yeah,
that happens anyway.
I agree, but it will happen now in season. It will happen more. It will be one of the downsides. Listen, everything doesn't always have to be about the coaches. I agree, but this will make it difficult. You will constantly have to try and keep your guy and maybe appease your guy if you feel you need to, and try and stop other teams, and good luck with that, from trying to poach him during a season.
So in other words, the things that you say to the recruit at 17, you may actually have to live up to?
Yeah, how about it?
So there you go. I mean, that seems to make it pretty clear. We'll get your tweets on that throughout the rest of the show. Love It or Shove It is on the way, plus Mel Kiper with his first mock draft.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.